We're taking off this morning to go to Prudhoe Bay. So we've got the vehicle all gassed up and got some breakfast at McDonald's, and here we go.
Our decision to rent an all-wheel drive vehicle was mainly as a safety issue. With rain and mud, the road becomes more dangerous. One factor I didn't consider was construction. We were about to find out that the Dalton Highway had many miles of construction with loose gravel and tons of mud. This revelation reinforced our decision as being the correct one. As we rounded a hill in a construction zone, a black wolf crossed in front of the car. How exciting it was to see such a magnificent animal. We barely got the camera going in time to video the wolf. I know it looks more like a grainy Sasquatch video, but I assure you it was a real wolf. There was no mistaking it. The Dalton Highway doesn't officially start until you're past Livengood. There is a wonderful marker at its starting point, and this location is a must-stop for photo ops. It is interesting to note the Dalton Highway was never intended to be a tourist adventure route. It was built with the sole purpose to service Prudhoe Bay and construction of the pipeline. How lucky are modern adventurers to be able to use this road to access one of the more remote places on Earth. Really cool. It is my understanding that efforts to pave the Dalton Highway are underway. Whether or not this occurs depends on funding and the practicality of construction in the permafrost. But there's no doubt more sections will be paved. One should probably take advantage of good weather to do it while there's still a lot of gravel. All along the Dalton Highway, there are access roads heading off into the bush. These roads are service roads that take crews to the pipeline. At times, the pipeline is right along the Dalton Highway, and at other times, a few miles away. The pipeline itself is an engineering marvel and interesting to see. As a side note, as a young man, they advertised for workers across the United States. Newly married, I considered applying for a job on the pipeline. Eventually, I chose a different career path, but it's interesting to ponder what might have been as I see this pipeline. If I thought it was an adventure to ride the Dalton on a motorcycle, these crazy bicyclists are certifiably insane. And of course I jest, but really, this would be very difficult, and my hat's off to them. Eventually, we reached the Yukon River Bridge. This is a wonderful place to stop and have a look around. It's also one of the few places for restrooms. For guys, it's not such a big deal, but for you lady riders who don't want to get eaten by a bear, this is a must-stop place. We did see a few brave souls on a motorcycle. However, they were mud-covered and looked miserable. The heavy rain and mud just made for a rough ride. Once again, I'm thankful we rented an SUV. We'll endure a lot of rain on this trip, but at least it won't be in the mud. Finally, we reach the Arctic Circle sign. The Arctic Circle is an imaginary line where the sun doesn't fully set on the summer solstice or fully rise on the winter solstice. Interestingly enough, because the Earth's tilt is shifting, the Arctic Circle is moving further north. This means the signs are usually not in the right spot. There are 8 countries that extend into the Arctic Circle: Sweden, Russia, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, Finland, Canada, and the state of Alaska, where we're at. As a note, the pipeline does not flow downhill. It follows the terrain, up and down and around. This necessitates pumps along the way. Here's pump station number 5. As you've noticed, we've passed numerous creeks and rivers along the Dalton. It's safe to say these waterways are most likely tributaries of the Yukon River. This watershed lies between the Alaska Range to the south of Fairbanks and the Brooks Range in the northern portion of Alaska. This huge watershed flows to the Bering Sea. Anyone coming over the hill? The further north we get, the better the view of the foothills of the Brooks Range. Tomorrow we'll cross over the Brooks Range and enter complete tundra. This dramatic point where trees no longer exist. We finally make it to Coldfoot, Alaska, the only spot midway that has services. Before fueling up and eating supper, we'll visit the Arctic Interagency Visitor Center. This is really cool here, and they have some wonderful displays that explain the Arctic. One of the most fascinating displays is the top of the Earth globe. This display really helps one envision how close other countries are if you fly across the Arctic. It really puts things into perspective. Well, the visitor center was a great stop, but it's time to get fuel and have dinner. We'll stop off at the Truckers Cafe to kick back and mull over our day. This unique spot was created just for truckers, but now serves as a rest stop for all travelers. However, the restaurant still has a spot designated for truckers only. After crossing over the Koyukuk River, we'll turn left down a gravel road. This river road will take us south to Wiseman, Alaska, our stopping off spot for the night. Our little lodge is about the only thing going for lodging in this area. I found it funny when viewing an old Itchy Boots video that she had stayed in the same lodge as us. That shows one how little your choices are here. Well, here's Mike with the recap.
Wow, what a great day we had today. It was a pretty epic trip, and we're right up against the Brooks Range here in Wiseman. And today the big event was, as we saw that wolf, that was pretty cool. Well, tomorrow we'll be heading up to Dead Horse and preparing to go to the Arctic Ocean. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. See you then.